So just what is Ravenburn and how is it a college? Ravenburn is part of a system that has been thought through and invested in and embraced by us as a legitimate alternate form of higher education. All right, it's called the faculty school system. So Ravenburn College is a genuine college that is part of what we call the faculty school system. Now, the faculty school system has an accreditation agency that is over the colleges to make sure they're following the basic rules of the system. And then the accreditation agency has an agency that's above them called the recognition agency. Now, the recognition agency's job traditionally is to recognize accreditation agencies. And the accreditation agency's job is to accredit or to provide a thumbs up, if you will, to the quality of the institutions that they accredit, so the schools. So it's the recognition agency watches over the accreditation agency, and the accreditation agency watches over the schools on the ground. Now, we have two types of schools. We have schools that can actually offer degrees. Okay, those are called faculty school colleges. They're also called micro colleges. Quickly, a quick side point, the whole system is really a system designed for micro education, which is high level education delivered on a very micro scale, like one teacher with 2 students. All right, and now we can have more students than that, but it's on a very small scale, and that's why we call it a micro college. All right. We also call it a faculty school college because this college doesn't have administrators. It just has faculty. The faculty run the college. The college is so simple, so streamlined. Just the essential parts are left that the faculty themselves can run the college and provide the teaching at the same time. It's better that way because then the faculty can have power to make changes right to the college itself that help the students have a better experience. So the faculty run the college, and they have a board of advisors. So you have faculty and a board of advisors. You have a group of people doing this. To be legal, the college has to be registered in a state, and the state has to provide in its laws of the state, which are called state codes, language or a situation that says if the college is religiously affiliated, it does not need to have state licensing to be able to operate in the state. So that's exactly the type of thing that the faculty school system requires and makes use of. So usually the core schools are going to be religiously affiliated in some way, even generally speaking. And then they are established in the states that allow such an institution to exist. So it is legitimately and legally a college system. And the degrees that you earn through this are real degrees. They just don't look like it, do they? And we say, of course they don't. I mean, we were not in the business of revising or reforming traditional education. Traditional education in our mind is a huge tree that is already mature. And it has its own angles and branches and a bend, a shape, and there's no way we are going to effectively reshape the tree without hurting it or killing it. Can't be done. It's much better if we're going to revolutionize this to just plant a new seed and carefully watch over a new tree as it grows. And think of the time frame. A good solid tree might take decades to grow. And we understand that, and we're committed to the timeline that it takes to correctly build and establish the faculty school system. But these schools are designed for people who have the vision and the capacity to run them to be able to start their own school with their own program in their city in a way where they have a network of support and they don't have to go back to get an education degree or things like that, where they can be trained in-house to provide the program they want to provide. And so these are real schools with real degrees, with real faculty. The accreditation realizes that in order to build this fleet of micro schools that are independent yet connected through the accreditation agency and through the system, certain things need to be in play to make all of this affordable. In this day and age, a brick and mortar building, campus, a landed campus, an athletic department, or things like an actual library are not necessary for the core activity of education. Granted, a lot of families and students, graduates graduating from high school, want the traditional college experience, which is years, 4 years, 3 or 4 or 5 years away from home, living in sort of a micro city, a city unto itself, with other peers, and becoming adults. So this is sort of a safe space that our culture has developed over the decades, over really centuries, for our young adults to go to finish off their maturing process and to become truly independent, standalone adults, professional adults in the nation. But that sort of experience involves a physical moving away from home, and it involves land and a building and all sorts of ancillary activities like athletics, student unions, entertainment centers, dormitories. Just the beauty of the campus is a huge thing. The opportunities for students to get involved with sororities or fraternities or societies, groups within groups. And it's worked for a long time, but in our contemporary period here, for maybe the last 25 years, the pricing has truly gone off the rails for various reasons. I don't want to get into that now, but so there is a sense now that the price you pay for that, unless you get a full ride, is not necessarily something that you can afford anymore, or it's maybe not the type of thing you want to take on. And also they've done other things with the way they've super compartmentalized. So you can go to a certain traditional school and get a very specific degree, a very compartmentalized degree, a very specific career set, a skill set of things for a very specific career. And it's going to take 4 or 5 years for you to get that certification, which is we call a degree. And the actual job market may have skewed left or right or left you behind. So we're at the point now with our advancement in terms of artificial intelligence and globalization, automation, and just market needs that in a capitalistic society, there is no sense of responsibility or concern in terms of making sure that certain entry-level jobs stay open for the emerging college graduate. We're going to go where technology lets us go, and the market is going to go to where the profit margins are largest. So you might find in a traditional college setting that you spent 4 years getting a graphic arts degree, and no one wants to hire you because now AI can do all the website design that they ever wanted for their purposes, and they don't need to hire you for a year or two to do their websites anymore. So the faculty school system needs to be much more flexible. We envision an alternate form of higher education that is able to turn at the moment's notice 80, 90 degrees, even 180 degrees to help a student best become a legitimate member of society and a valuable member of society. And we do believe that given the way technology is advancing and the way artificial intelligence is advancing, that a healthy focus on the truly human elements are what is going to be valuable in the future. Your ability to communicate, your ability to empathize and to suffer with people, even if it's at a remove, if it's only through your imagination, but you can imagine their suffering. People in crisis do not want a machine helping them. They want a human being helping them. People want love with another person. Now there is the strange case of deviation from that, but for the main, we want to know if we are bound unto death, we want to be heard and loved by others that are also bound unto death, and we understand this. And We want to talk about eternity. We want to talk about solutions to this problem. And that ability to communicate, to empathize, to have that rounded thinking, and to understand that the human mind craves complexity and growth, which is our fourth goal of self-directed lifelong learning. Those are things that AI and technology and globalization and automation may never be able to truly provide for a local community, right? So that's why we've made this shift, and the accreditation agency and the system has certain rules in place that allows us to operate on a very efficient way. For example, it is actually part of the rule system that no faculty school can own buildings because we don't need them. Our public libraries are at such a developed state. We have public spaces in our community that we can meet. We have online platforms that are getting better and better in providing genuine connective experiences where you feel like you're actually connecting with someone for education. And our way of disseminating information, democratizing it and disseminating it. In other words, the internet, YouTube, and like sites, Wikipedia. They give you so much information. Why would I ever feel the burden of being a human repository of information? Now, I do have a lot of information in me, but you don't have to ask me anymore for the answer to a certain factual question. Just go to AI and ask your phone. You're probably going to get a very good answer. So there is still place for human involvement in education, of course, but it's no longer as a provider of content. It is much more a leader through the woods, if you will. The teacher has to be much more focused on method and being able to creatively find a path through the flood of information and the flood of questions. That's one reason we highlight the material that we've chosen for the program. If we wanted to talk about the ocean, there are probably 200 books I can find over 3 public libraries and internet material that talk about the ocean. But which one is going to give us the best reading experience for our purposes? And that's why it's deep. About diving, free diving. It brings in the human element. You learn a little bit about the oceans, but you also learn about our psychological response to the oceans. And it's just pretty interesting. So my job now is not to tell you how to think about oceans. My job is to ask you and help you find the right movie and book that is going to do that job for you. So it's much more source selection. It's much more asking the question, why do you want to learn this in the first place? And it's trying to find paths of through this wood of material that is now at our disposal, and trying to figure out what should we know and what sort of information ignorance should we be comfortable with and actually embrace. That's the job of the modern teacher, or the teacher that is living in the age of artificial intelligence. So that's exactly why we do the stuff we do in the faculty school system. Just remember, real teachers, real colleges, real degrees, and just things that have been eliminated are not, we at this point think are essential to that actual moment between the teacher and the student where the learning curve happens and the ideas are exchanged and clarified and the student becomes like the teacher. We can get rid of things like dormitories, entertainment centers, the land itself, ivy-covered buildings, athletic programs, all of those can go. And if you want that experience and can afford it, we are not saying that that is inherently not the right way. It's just that people need different ways now. And we want to be part of the growing movement that looks at alternate forms of higher education.